I come today to share some thoughts about a challenge that I have faced in my life and that we have faced as a church and as a community, the challenge of dementia. I first became aware of the challenge of dementia some 20 years ago when my mother, who was well educated, physically active, intellectually sound in so many ways, very engaged in learning throughout her life, called me up and said she could not figure out how to get out of the housing development that she'd lived in Green Valley, where she had been for some 25 years. She was frightened, she was confused, and she wondered what to do. She wondered what was happening next. I can't believe this is happening to me, she said. Well, my mother's journey ended about 7 years later when she passed away. And last year, about a year ago, the associate pastor at our church in Green Valley and I realized that both of us were concerned about relatives, his brother, my brother-in-law, who were also coming down with dementia. We committed ourselves to studying, to learning, to reading, and after a short period of time, we got a group together and invited them to study with us a book called No Act of Love is Ever Wasted by Richard Morgan, a Presbyterian pastor, and Jane Tebold, who's a gerontologist. We read the book and we announced the class, and only 3 people signed up initially. So we decided to go ahead and do it anyway. And then on that first day, 15 people showed up. We realized that people were hesitant to identify themselves in relationship to this issue and problem. From there, we developed a task force, and from the task force, a series of forums announced to the community, and some 70 people came, most of them from outside of our church, amazingly enough. So we've continued to work and develop that ministry and expand it in several ways over the last 6 months. So why is this ministry, a ministry regarding people with dementia, is so important? Well, for one thing, a new person is diagnosed with dementia every 65 seconds in this country. The number of people with dementia is increasing rapidly as our population ages. And that's true in the church particularly. As the congregations age, we find ourselves recognizing and dealing with this issue. Arizona, unfortunately, is going to be shortly, in a year or two, #1 in the nation for the incidence of increase in dementia. So we have particular concerns about our own state here. Why is it important for the church to be involved? Partly because there's really no medical response to the issue of dementia. There are some drugs that are used to slow down the symptoms, but there's no medical cure. Dementia is, in the end, terminal disease. The stages are progressive, and it will continue so long as a person continues living. Dementia is a progressive disorder, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's dementia, vascular dementia, which is what my mother had, and Lewy body dementia. All of the different kinds of dementia create this challenge. So medically, very limited options at the moment. Lots of research, lots of effort trying to be done to try to find some solution. But socially, we know that there's a lot involved with response to dementia. And that can be good or that can be bad. Socialization for a person with dementia is enormously health-giving, but oftentimes they're isolated or the caregiver is isolated because of the worry or because of the stigma attached. This came home to me when a retired pastor told me the story about his wife who had dementia. She loved singing in the choir in her church. This was some years back, and hopefully this would not happen again. But when she began to have dementia, when she began to manifest dementia, people in the choir began to shun her and basically pushed her out of the choir. She was deeply hurt by that experience. Fortunately, her husband refused to isolate her or himself and continued to work with her and travel with her and do lots of things with her. But the church's response to separate itself from those with this disability is something that needs to be addressed. So, as a church, among other things, because we have the power to bless in our church as well as to curse, to bless the people who are going through this issue is the primary role that the church can do, to validate them, to say that you are a loved person. God loves you and we love you, and we want you to be a part of our community. I'm moved by the passage from Isaiah 43 that Laura read for us. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. Because you are precious in my sight and honored, and I love you. I give people in return for you, nations in exchange for your life. O Israel, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, and I love you. It's a calling that the church has to reach out to those who are the least among us, to include them in our life, in our community, in our love. And we do that even though sometimes it's challenging and difficult. Richard Morgan, the Presbyterian pastor who wrote that book together with Jane Thibault, No Act of Love is Ever Wasted, says that whenever we put love into the universe, that is a good thing, even though it sometimes may seem futile and may seem like it doesn't last. But love itself, going into the universe, is our gift, and that will reverberate throughout our whole world. And so, anointing, as the woman did in that gospel passage, the woman anointing Jesus with that precious oil is not a vain thing. It is, in fact, a glorious thing to bless and love and spend time with those who are in need. Morgan tells a story about one time when he was visiting people in the memory unit in his facility in North Carolina. And he came into the room and this woman was sitting there and he said, "Hi, honey, what is your name?" And she looked a little confused and she said, "Well, I don't really remember, but it's okay," she said. And then she pointed to the cross and she said, "Because he remembers my name." The church remembers the names and honors the loved ones who are afflicted and their caregivers. And caregivers often, in fact, percentage-wise, caregivers die before the loved one with dementia. So our ministry needs to extend to everyone that is affected and not just some. Now, we may oftentimes feel somewhat awkward about when we're with somebody who has dementia, not knowing how to talk with them, not sure whether we should say something special. In our gathering at our church, we still bring people together who have dementia and people who are their caregivers and other people interested in our church community. I was in a small breakout group with a woman and her husband. He's the caregiver for her. And by the way, men are more likely to be the caregivers than women are. Women get dementia more often than men do, which is surprising. He's the caregiver, and she had just been diagnosed with dementia. And she said, "You know, I'm telling my friends that I have dementia, and I tell my kids, and they don't know how to talk to me. They stop talking to me." So we need to have this opportunity to share and to talk and to make this journey. So we have a little video that I wanted to share with you. In the United Kingdom, they have been on a campaign nationwide to deal with dementia because it afflicts the United Kingdom as well as Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, other countries, prosperous countries where the life expectancy is longer, dementia's more likely. So this little video is called Kids with Dementia, and we'll share that with you now. It's a short little video that is something that I find helpful as we think about talking with people with dementia.
Hello. Hello.
Give me 5.
How old are you?
I'm 60, I think.
Do you sometimes do silly things?
I put milk in the washing machine.
Do you still go out on dates?
On dates? No, I go to buy dates, but
Left the house without any trousers. I know.
What was you like when you was a teenager?
Sometimes I was good, sometimes I wasn't. I had a lot of boyfriends.
Can you still kiss people when you have Alzheimer's?
Yes.
Did you dye your hair pink because you have dementia?
That's a very good question.
I love your hair. Do you know how babies are made? Who looks after you?
My wife, Vivian, the boss.
Do you ever get lonely?
Yes, I do. Very, very lonely. I'm on my own now, so I have to make the best of it.
I know that one day I'm going to wake up and not know who anyone is.
Do you have any life advice for me?
My advice would be,
Have you forgotten?
I have, yes.
Make sure you tell the people that you love them.
Treat every moment as though it's your last.
Stay away from boys. It was nice talking to you.
It's a beautiful little reminder to us about what it means to be in relationship. We may feel like we have to be very sophisticated or challenged by that. Sometimes we just don't know how to talk. But we have this opportunity to continue to be in relationship and to help people know what they're loved, that they are included, and that they are welcome. Morgan has another story which I really love, and that is he was, excuse me, excuse me, he was visiting in the nursing home, again, another time. And as often happens, I've had this experience, and probably anyone who is in a nursing home has had this experience. A person came up to him and says, I want to go home. I want to go home. And he didn't argue with him. He didn't say, this is your home, like we're inclined to do, I think. But instead, what he did is he said this. He said, I heard you had a beautiful home. You have a beautiful home. Can you tell me about your home? So they sat down and talked. And of course, the man talked about probably a home from his childhood or from 30, 40, 50 years ago. But it began to relax from that tension of saying, I don't have a home, to saying, tell me about your home. We, as Christians, part of the reason we value this kind of work, whether it's with this population or with others who are disabled, whatever that ministry is, because we know about the home that God has for us. As we were doing research to try to find resources related to dementia, we came across a website from a United Methodist Church outside of Atlanta, Due West United Methodist Church in Marietta. They have developed a whole ministry around dementia, and the website is called Loving Through Dementia. The founder of that ministry, Sheila Welch is her name, has 5 people in her family who are afflicted with dementia and have died. And so out of her own challenge, she put this ministry together in the church, and it has flourished. Even just going to the website is a way of doing ministry. It's a great, great website. And I want to share this song that Sheila wrote, as a tribute to the love and the impact and the beauty of people, irregardless of their circumstance. So if we could show that video now.
I am living with dementia. I have value, I have worth. And although my brain is dying, I'm still here with you on earth. I'm the same, but I am different in all I think and say and do. And I cannot come to you. Come and meet me where I am now. I am giving all I can now. Can you come to me? I cannot come to you. Come meet me where I am. I am trying, but it's harder every day. My brain just will not let me understand the words you say. Show me slowly, tell me there is no other way. I cannot come to you. As I'm leaving, you are grieving. Walk away before you cry. Then come back a little wiser and give it another try. I know that you are missing me. I miss me too. I cannot